My name is Derek Danbsy. I'm the Director of Support Services at the Standard. We're a financial services company that specializes in employee benefits, retirement plans, individual disability. I run a team inside of our procurement function. And so at the Standard, we use a centralized model to where all contracts that we buy for services, software, support come through our organization. And what we do is enable the company to get better value out of the relationships with their third parties. Really, at the end of the day, for us, from a procurement lens, the paper is important itself, but at the end of the day, it's not just the paper, it's all those things that you're driving those conversations with. How do you ensure that you're paying the best price or the best value price, right? How do you ensure that you're getting adequate performance out of your suppliers and incentivizing them if you're not, or to go above and beyond? And then as a financial service company, we also have regulatory needs that we have to hit, right? Departments of insurance, oversee us. You need that single source of truth that says, hey, this is what we have, right? This is what our contracts in effect are. This is our list, our inventory. It's the very first thing that a regulator asks you whenever they show up. Give me your contract inventory, right? All of those things have evolved over the past couple of years to where you go from not having a CLM, and it's a storage folder of contracts, right, to having a CLM with workflow and evidence and all the attributes that go along with it to help tell your story. And so that's where the power of a well-built CLM comes in for us, right, is you're moving your high-skilled labor from data entry to storytelling and advising your customers, your internal stakeholders, business partners, etc. So one of the ways that we're looking at using Icertis right now is around M&A. So as you go through those processes, often, in our case, we acquired an entire legal entity from another insurance provider. And so with that, you inherit their contracts too, right? One of the exercises that you have to do is tell the story to the business of, hey, we have an agreement with Company X and they have an agreement with Company X. It's exciting to look at the tool and be able to use it to say, hey, this contract has better payment terms, has better limitations of liability or other factors in it. But this one has better SLAs and better pricing, right? And so you can really sit down and guide the business and want us at that table to have the conversation with them. So, one of the challenges that procurement people often have is over-papering their deals, right? So you don't need to put a 40-page master services agreement on every single contract, right? Like you need to write the contract relative to the risk. And that's how we use our integrations between our risk tools, as well as our template selection and functions inside of Icertis to kind of use dynamic clause logic and those types of things to kind of really, shorten and lengthen the document based on what we need the relationship to do. Because at the end of the day, while the third party's doing the work, you can outsource the work, but you cannot outsource the risk. One area where we're just kind of like getting really ingrained in Icertis is around using the rules engine of Icertis to say, hey, if these conditions are present, then generate this task upon expiration and or termination, right? It's never around like reducing headcount because we need our headcount to be out there negotiating contracts. Often gets bogged down by transactional items, right? Like, sending emails, hey, I need your data destruction certificate. I need your certificate of insurance, right? So how do we utilize the technology in a more efficient way for our organization to where we can effectively have, I joke with my team, an assistant to every procurement person, where that assistant is just Icertis. The benefit for Icertis for me is it's kind of a one-stop shop, and I can customize my reporting. Also, within that team, anyone in the team can see the notes to where you're not having to set up a meeting and have the conversation. You're not having to do those things. You're using the technology to enable the workflow to move faster. So if you look back over the years and say, how many contracts did we execute before, right, Icertis, and how many do we do now, right? So we're seeing about a 25% reduction in total volume of those repetitive type transactions, right? Because we're able to use the data and say, like, look, you will negotiate a better deal if we do a 3-year term, a 5-year term. But on the leadership side of the house, it's that story of savings. So with Icertis, we've been able to demonstrate, in the neighborhood of 5 to 6 times our employee cost in savings, which for a procurement team, right, like that's kind of the gold standard of what you're going for. And so we're a small team, but we're pretty mighty in what we do.